As part of our English studies at Bielefeld University, we participated in the course Language and Communication on the Internet. On that account, we discussed topics pertaining to linguistic particularities that occur online. We decided to work on the topic of audience design. Audience design deals with the phenomenon of modifying one's speech and language production on the basis of a presumed or imagined audience. For example, keeping in mind personal interest or pre-knowledge of a particular person. Then, authors will utilize the available technical as well as linguistic features of a medium so as to direct the focus of one's message and to reach a specific target audience. We considered it to be interesting to investigate audience design as evidenced on the social networking medium Facebook. Our research question is as follows. How do users of Facebook modify their speech production in order to comply with what is perceived to be normal conversation between oneself and a presumed or imagined audience? To carry out this investigation, we constructed a questionnaire which was completed by a total of 76 students of English Studies at Bielefeld University. Consequently, this questionnaire was assessed in relation to univariate distribution and bivariate correlations of individual items. As a result of fruitful brainstorming phase, we came up with 4 distinct hypotheses regarding the occurrence of audience design on Facebook.
Our first hypothesis deals with private messages and timeline posts. We thought that private messages are for certain people only. These messages might contain very personal information, which is not supposed to be shared with others. General or rather positive information about the author is more likely to be posted on the timeline. The author is aware that the information might be spread. Our research shows that authors are aware of the increased reach their timeline posts have in comparison to their private messages. Many users use private messages only and will refrain from writing timeline posts. Timeline posts can be shared by others. For this reason, the original authors consider the language style and the choice of topic for a particular timeline post. The questionnaire was assessed and scrutinized in relation to our first hypothesis. The results we were able to deduce are as follows. Embarrassing or exceedingly personal subject matter is not communicated via timeline posts at all. These results accord closely with our hypothesis, which states that users are aware of being exposed to a wide public audience whenever they post on their timeline. Interestingly enough, favorable or pleasing information, such as having recently been employed in a new job, is not communicated via timeline posts either.
Our second hypothesis deals with timeline posting. We expect the various filter options on Facebook to induce a decrease in the use and significance of the private messaging function. Our results are twofold. The first result concerns numbers. Our survey has shown that people who use filter options to specify the target audience for timeline posts write private messages, i.e. chat, nevertheless. This stands in contrast to our hypothesis. Our second result rather concerns content. Facebook users who stated they use filter options for their timeline posts share less of the contents in question via private messaging than the total number of participants of the surveyees. This is in accordance with our hypothesis that private messages are decreasing in significance when filters are used.
Third hypothesis. Based on the premise that informal as well as casual speech is more common among friends, whereas formal speech tends to occur more frequently among work colleagues or strangers, we supposed that among young students there would be an unchanged register and very little or no differentiation to cater to the requirements of varying distinct target audiences. This includes being case-sensitive and in line with orthography. Results. A majority of participants declares they customize their speech production so as to comply with what is common practice in certain social groups. According to their own statements, that is most prevalent among the youngest users of Facebook. However, the information obtained about the youngest third of the participants stands in contrast to our hypothesis. It seems they are particularly focused on the correctness of their messages and posts. They are in fact those who are most inclined to modify their speech production so as to make it suitable for their perceived or imagined audience. Also, the youngest third of the participants is allegedly more concerned with the normative accuracy of its private messages and timeline posts than the older participants. Taking into account that the difference of values for private messaging and timeline posts is the higher for the youngest third than for the total number of participants, it seems reasonable to conclude from the data that they also customize their writing style more so than the oldest third of participants. Fourth hypothesis. Many users of Facebook use one or more languages because they have friends or relatives speaking languages different to their own. To make users with different language backgrounds understand whatever it is one wants to communicate, the use of a lingua franca is implemented. In any case, we expect students to predominantly use their mother tongue for whatever purpose. However, to transport information to a wider audience, we suspect a high likelihood that English is used as a lingua franca. Results. English is the dominant language used to socialize and keep up with international friends. It is followed by French in second and Spanish in third position. When assessing the questionnaires, we discovered that more participants stayed to use English on Facebook, amounting to 90%, than those stating that they communicate with people of a different mother tongue, which amounts to 74%. We infer from this that English is also used among non-native speakers of English for various purposes. This consolidates its status of being a global language. That having been said, it is not improbable that participants who are non-native speakers of English, those students of English at university, will at times engage in some sort of English communication with other non-native speakers of English, even if they both speak German. 16% state that they use English on Facebook also for prestigious reasons. This might point towards a target audience where one's public persona is desired to be regarded as in some way cool.
It remains to be said that our participants are generally aware of their audience and specify their output depending on who they intend to reach in particular. There is also a consensus on Facebook being a vast platform with an immense pool of users, which leads users to deliberate the correctness of one's language with regard to social as well as linguistic aspects. Also, among private users without a political mandate or other kind of mission, there seems to be a general trend towards using Facebook less and less as an active blogger. Maybe because anxieties about data and job securities have become more prevalent. This, although related to it, is not confirmed by our research. Our hypothesis relating to younger users turned out to be unsubstantiated by our survey. Furthermore, there seems to be a tendency to move away from Facebook in the direction of other social media tools and applications. A surge in popularity of Instagram and WhatsApp, incidentally also owned by Facebook, seems to account for this. Again, The question if this is at all valid was not pursued or dealt with in our research. It does, however, pose an interesting challenge for further research.